Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Hollenstein, and I'm responsible for the HPE Shadowbase product line here at Gravic. Thank you for having me at this BiTug Little Sig meeting. Today, I'd like to present to you the HPE Shadowbase product news. I'm sorry that I can't be with you today, but I've added a picture so you can put a face to the name to the voice. Gravic is located on the eastern seaboard of the United States, near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Standard disclaimer slide. Today, we're going to talk about what today's IT challenges are in the industry. We'll discuss how HPE Shadowbase solutions solve these challenges, and in particular, we're going to focus on our data validation, essentials bundle, data integration to eliminate data and application silos, and zero downtime migration solutions. Then I'll wrap things up with our new releases and future product plans. Today's IT challenges include systems that fail. How many times have you heard, our system will never go down? At one site, I even heard an IT manager state, we don't need to do that, meaning business continuity. We haven't had an outage in the 39 years I've been working here. Or, we will never see a pandemic in our lifetime. Downtime loses customers, and it means your customer can sue you. They need and demand continuous access to IT services, and they want to have migrations to newer, better software without outages. At times, the outage leads to lawsuits. Binance suffered an outage costing their traders millions, and now the traders are suing as they fight back. Another key challenge is systems that are isolated. The world's evolving. We need to adapt fast. End users demand that you solve their problem now, or they'll find someone else who can. It's going to take how long to create that new application? Why can't you just grab data from here and over there and get me what I need? The main issue is dumb, dedicated, or siloed applications. It's organizational bureaucracy or antiquated technology preventing the rapid creation of new value-add software. And mergers and acquisitions are causing systems to be integrated that were never intended to work together. How many different applications and platforms are we now supporting? HPE Shadowbase solves these IT challenges. Let's review the HPE nonstop replication strategy. For business continuity, it's all about eliminating unplanned and planned downtime through sophisticated, proven, active-passive to active-active architectures. We're targeting zero everything. Zero recovery time from system failures, meaning continuous availability, or the lowest recovery time objective. We're targeting zero data loss, where it's required for applications, and that's the lowest recovery point objective. And we're targeting zero downtime migrations as companies upgrade their applications, their databases, perform platform refreshes, and system or site migrations through zero application downtime. HPE Shadowbase provides data integration to eliminate data silos through sophisticated, heterogeneous data integration. That means data integration across various platforms from different vendors, everything from nonstop to Linux to Windows to Unix, and a variety of databases, including Oracle, MySQL, DB2, SQL Server, Sybase, SAP HANA, PostgreSQL, and other databases. And it's leveraging our real-time change data capture replication. HPE Shadowbase provides application integration to eliminate application silos. What's an application silo? It's two applications that need to communicate and don't know how to or weren't architected to do so. You can use Shadowbase application integration to build out real-time business intelligence in an easy application sharing mode to build, for example, real-time fraud detection and real-time decision support systems. Shadowbase provides data validation to ensure the backup database's data integrity. This means that the target data matches the source data and is consistent with itself at all times. Shadowbase also has a bundle called Shadowbase Essentials, which simplifies and expedites data management. Next, we'll focus on HPE nonstop Shadowbase data validation. Specifically, we're going to look at Shadowbase compare and repair software. Why is compare and repair software needed? Essentially, it's replication insurance. We trust but verify. But doesn't my current data replication product work? How could the target database be wrong? In reality, there are several reasons. It could be from configuration errors. For example, maybe the configuration is missing files and tables, or there's incorrect TMF audit flags preventing your DML activity from being captured in the first place. Operator errors can occur, and this is actually the leading cause of system outages. It's things like issuing an improper command that brings down the application or replication environment, or running the application against the target database instead of the source. And of course, the data replication product may have coding errors or bugs that cause data inconsistencies. In some interesting cases, the customer's application itself may cause outages and data issues. For example, starting and aborting transactions in a tight loop that overwhelms the TMF subsystem and locks up the entire system. The key capability of Shadowbase Compare is to provide data validation. In other words, to ensure the source and target databases match at all times. And when they don't, we'll use a sophisticated repair function to correct any inconsistencies, all without requiring an application outage of any kind. So the idea here is to prove to management and the auditors that the target database is consistent, complete, and correct at all times, ready to take over application processing on a moment's notice. And a best practice is to perform periodic and frequent comparisons, for example, daily, weekly, or monthly, as these provide checkpoints for when the data was known to be in a consistent state. The HPE Nonstop Shadowbase Compare product provides a variety of capabilities. It supports NScribe, SQLMP, and SQLMX comparisons. It's a must-have for business continuity architectures. It works with all data replication engines, and it runs while the application is making database updates. In other words, no application outage is required to perform a data comparison. Shadowbase is smart enough to eliminate false positives, which are mismatches that occur due to replication latency when the databases are actively being used, and it provides a repair function for SQLMP and SQLMX discrepancies. And the latest release improves performance for large dataset comparisons. NScribe repair and heterogeneous compare, for example, for nonstop to other server replication environments, are both in plan for a future release. Now we'd like to run an HPE Nonstop Shadowbase Compare video.
Data replication is at the center of the Shadowbase product portfolio. It is important to monitor and correct data in order to detect and resolve improper behavior, ensure continuation of proper business operations, and comply with audit and regulatory requirements. A backup database or second copy of data is worthless unless it is correct, consistent, and a complete replica of its source database or data. The Shadowbase Compare and Repair software suite provides the capabilities necessary to meet these needs. Shadowbase Compare validates that a target database matches its source and reports all discrepancies found between them. For example, discrepancies may occur when an initial load of a target environment is not complete, a user accidentally misconfigures the replication environment, or purges required audit trails or change logs. The operations staff accidentally configures their application environment to update the target database copy instead of the source database copy, or employee misconduct, malware, or data tampering occurs. Shadowbase Compare should be run when a database is created or loaded, and periodically afterwards. These comparisons create multiple synchronization points where the data is confirmed to be correct, which creates a reference point that greatly simplifies subsequent data tracking, analysis, and resolution if future comparisons return a discrepancy. Shadowbase Compare is easy to add into existing architectures and can run while normal business operations occur, with no disruption to normal IT services. Both source and target databases remain online for continuous application and data processing, while the comparison and verification of database consistency occurs. Shadowbase Compare includes special logic to manage temporary data discrepancies, called false positives, which occur due to replication latency. Shadowbase Compare supports many replication architectures. For example, in an active-passive architecture, it identifies any accidentally omitted files or tables, or an application running against the backup database instead of the production database. Shadowbase Compare uses sophisticated data compression algorithms to reduce the total network traffic and improve the speed of comparisons. It also supports deselecting certain columns from the comparison, such as when comparing the original and new data for an SQL database SQL change upgrade. Shadowbase Compare is highly recommended for validating every replication environment, including like-to-like HPE Nonstop NScribe files and SQL tables, Validation provides confidence and certifies that the source and target databases match at all times and can be run on demand with minimal system overhead. Shadowbase Compare is a standalone product that works with any data replication engine, including environments without a data replication engine, for SQL comparisons. It also includes the Shadowbase repair function. When a discrepancy is found between the source and target databases, the repair function is used to correct these differences. Use Shadowbase Compare and Repair software to validate that your source and target data accurately match in any replication architecture for continuously running business operations. Contact us today and learn how Shadowbase Compare and Repair can benefit you. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise globally sells and supports Shadowbase solutions under the name HPE Shadowbase.
Next, let's focus on the HPE Shadowbase Essentials bundle. These are key tools and utilities for Shadowbase data replication environments. First, we'd like to highlight the Shadowbase Audit Log. This is the capability of Shadowbase to produce an SQL-based database archive of your application's transactional DML activity. This includes the before and after images of the individual transactional insert, update, and delete activity in a historical and queryable format. SAL records what data was changed and when for your nonstop nscribe, SQLMP, and SQLMX data changes. Next, we'd like to highlight the Shadowbase Audit Reader. This is a query tool that can mine the TMF audit trails using an SQL-like syntax to research and review the data changes your application has made that are captured in the TMF audit trails. The Shadowbase Data Definition Language Utility, or SBDDL util, is an nscribe to SQL transformation utility to flatten or normalize nscribe DDL and produce target SQL create table syntax. This is very useful for replicating nscribe data into any of the SQL targets that Shadowbase supports. The Shadowbase SQL Schema Conversion Utility, SBCreateP, which is currently available, and the future SBCreateX utility for SQLMX are schema conversion utilities to convert SQLMP and SQLMX table schemas into target SQL format for any of the target environments that Shadowbase supports. Both are essential for converting nonstop schema data types into those of the other SQL variants that Shadowbase supports. The Shadowbase Extract, Transform, and Load, or ETL toolkit, provides a Shadowbase user exit toolkit for capturing database changes or data loads from a source system and converting that information into flat files for subsequent loading into a target database that is not currently supported by Shadowbase. The Shadowbase Map, or SBMap utility, is a data transformation scripting language to simplify data conversions while replicating. SBMap includes data filtering, data scrubbing, and data cleansing to eliminate the need for Shadowbase user exits to be written in code. It currently supports SQLMP as a source, and nscribe source is in plan for the next release. The Shadowbase undo and redo functions are a suite of nonstop-based utilities to selectively correct erroneous database changes. For example, if you deploy a program that has a bug in it and you don't want to take an outage to restore a prior version of the file or table that it has affected, Shadowbase undo redo can roll back the changes to the original database values to remove the bad data, all while your application stays online. The Shadowbase DDL command replication, or DCR utility, replicates SQLMP, SQLCI DDL commands to a target database. It's similar to the SDR functionality available for RDF users that replicate SQLMP DDL commands to the target RDF database. SQLMP is currently supported as a source, and nscribe and SQLMX are in plan for a future release. So let's take a look at a customer's trapped data and see how the siloed data can be exposed to provide value to the rest of the organization. In this particular use case, a large European steel tube manufacturer runs shop floor control applications on a pair of HPE nonstop systems. The manufacturer periodically runs report applications on remote Linux servers, and these reports remotely access the nonstop nscribe database to gather key processing activity information. Problems include the remote query tool interfering with the nonstop processing, as well as the tool reaching its end of service life. The report processing needed to heavily transform the non-relational nscribe database information into a usable format, and also required retransmission of the data across the network for each report run. In other words, every time the report was requested, the same processing had to occur to the same data over and over and over. This architecture is sensitive to network activity and load and produces a lot of CPU overhead, in particular on the production environment. The volume of reporting was growing quickly. If you want to see volumes of reporting grow, show a manager a report that shows important information, and every manager in that department will also want to see the same thing, all on demand. The reporting application used a non-standard interface into the Nonstop database. This provided a barrier for the customer to leverage some of the more advanced applications for processing and analyzing data. And the application needed to share the results of this additional processing, the online analytical processing, back with the Nonstop environment in order to optimize shop floor control. Now let's take a look at how we can leverage HPE Shadowbase data integration to re-architect operations for this customer. First, we'll discuss option number 1, off-platform access. This is where we'll transform and replicate the inscribed data out to an off-platform target SQL environment, normalizing the data formats as the data is updated. This approach first uses the HPE Shadowbase Essential Software Bundle, in particular the SBDDL utility, to map the inscribed DDL formats into target SQL schema formats. This utility extracts the DDL definitions from the inscribed DDL catalog, creating the create table statements that the data will reside in on the target SQL environment. Then DBAs can simply run the create table statement on the target environment. After that step, Shadowbase data integration is then used to perform an online load of the source data to initially populate the target database without requiring an application outage. Shadowbase data integration then keeps the target database synchronized with additional changes from the source by reading the TMF audit trails and transforming and replicating the changes down into the target SQL database. The target database is then available to the report programs for querying and reporting. This architecture has effectively removed the querying activity off the Nonstop system onto the target system. Outcomes of this approach. It isolates the query and reporting workload from the Nonstop onto an off-platform commodity system. It transforms and applies the inscribed data into a relational target SQL database. It efficiently transforms the data only once during the initial load or when the application subsequently updates the data. It separates the inscribed operational database from the SQL reporting database. This is important because a reporting database often has additional access paths and indices added to facilitate the report processing. It converts the inscribed files into normalized SQL table format. It provides data access for queries via standard ODBC and JDBC adapters, and it supports new analytical functionality by allowing the new OLAP or additional decision support tools to access the standard SQL database. Next, we'll discuss option number 2, on-platform access. This is where we'll transform and replicate the inscribed data into a local SQLMP or SQLMX target database. This is desirable when leveraging the unique advantages of the Nonstop system, such as fault tolerance, and the Nonstop SQL environment, for example, to support massive simultaneous query volumes. This architecture also uses the SBDDL utility in the Nonstop Shadowbase Essentials bundle to map the inscribed DDL into the target SQL schema formats. The DBA can then use the create table statements to create the SQLMX database. We then use HPE Shadowbase data integration to do the initial load and change data capture replication to keep the SQLMX target database synchronized with the changes the application makes to the source inscribed database. The application then uses standard ODBC or JDBC to access the SQLMX database in order to perform its reporting and querying and analytical processing. The outcomes in this case are similar to the prior architecture. It isolates the reporting activity from the operational database. It transforms and applies the data into a normalized target SQL database. And it does this data transformation only once, either during the initial load or when the application updates the data. It separates the inscribe operational database from the SQLMX reporting database. This is again important because the reporting database will often have additional access paths and indices to facilitate the report processing. It provides remote data access for queries via standard ODBC and JDBC adapters, and it supports adding new analytical functionality by allowing OLAP or decision support tools to access the standard SQL database. So how do we migrate to HPE Shadowbase? with the Shadowbase Zero Downtime Migration, or ZDM solution. That's how. The Shadowbase ZDM solution enables an application to remain online and eliminates planned downtime to support system upgrades and migrations, platform refreshes, online application upgrades, upgrades to a new database version, replacement of existing replication engines with a new version, or replacing an entire replication engine or data sharing solution with a different one. Shadowbase ZDM supports online architectural transformation, for example, changing partitioning or modifying the structure of the file or table, and can be used to avoid application outages when you need to move your data center from one location to another. And Shadowbase ZDM allows you to avoid the risks associated with the classic Big Bang approach used in the past for migrations. We have a video that describes this process in more detail.
Enterprise IT staff are often tasked with updating their hardware and software, upgrading their application and database, installing new operating system versions, and performing system and data center migrations. All mission-critical teams must perform these operations without taking the application services offline. How can they accomplish this? With Shadowbase Zero Downtime Migration, or ZDM. It is also a best practice that a disaster recovery copy of the database remains available and synchronized with the production database during the migration. Why? To preserve full business continuity protection throughout the migration. Otherwise, the user takes tremendous risk if a disaster occurs during the migration. If these requirements cannot be met, IT teams may be locked into an old, costly, or unsatisfactory solution. They may face an impossible situation where potential costs of downtime and data loss are too great to risk making the change. Shadowbase ZDM offers solutions to these challenges. Migration projects can be undertaken without risk of application service outage or data loss, while preserving full business continuity coverage. The old method of performing these operations is known as the Big Bang approach. When implementing a Big Bang approach, the production application and system are taken offline during a maintenance window, and the necessary changes are made. When the maintenance window closes and the system and applications are brought back online, the new environment is put into service, ready or not. Unfortunately, this approach is often unsuccessful due to limited testing time, constrained testing procedures, and complex and difficult failback if the new environment fails after the migration. Even worse, the new environment may run for some time before latent issues begin to emerge. When the failback occurs, newly created data is stranded in the new database, and it may be unrecoverable. With Shadowbase ZDM, applications and data remain available during the entire migration process, including during the switchover to the upgraded environment. If there is a problem in the new environment, either immediately or after the switchover, it is easy to switch back to the original production system with little or no interruption in services. More importantly, since Shadowbase supports bi-directional data replication, the failback can be executed with zero data loss. The Shadowbase ZDM approach can be implemented on a single system or leveraged on two systems. However, these architectures are not best practice, since the same systems are used for production and migration. Instead, a better practice is to leverage a 3 or 4 system architecture for the migration, because production is not affected or impacted until much later in the migration sequence. The 4 system architecture is often used for a platform refresh operation, leveraging 2 new systems for the migration, while the original production and backup runs uninterrupted. With every Shadowbase ZDM architecture, the new environment can be fully tested and verified for as long as necessary. The data can also be compared to validate consistency, so that the migration is to a known working system. The Shadowbase ZDM approach works in active-passive, sizzling hot takeover, and active-active Shadowbase business continuity architectures. It utilizes the Shadowbase data replication engine, the Shadowbase online loading or solve utility, the Shadowbase compare solution, and the Shadowbase SB map data transformation capabilities to provide a seamless migration. In summary, Shadowbase ZDM eliminates both planned downtime and business risk for upgrades to applications, databases, systems, and for site migrations. Contact us today and learn how HPE Shadowbase Zero Downtime Migration can benefit you. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise globally sells and supports Shadowbase solutions under the name HPE Shadowbase.
For the HPE Nonstop Shadowbase solution, we released version 6.600 in October of 2019 and version 6.610 in November of 2020. We also have Shadowbase version 6.700 currently in development. Stay tuned for its upcoming release date. And for those of you interested in our upcoming Shadowbase Zero Data Loss Synchronous Replication technology, we are currently performing an early code drop, or ECD, testing program with select partners and customers in Shadowbase version 7.000. For HPE Shadowbase for other servers, meaning Shadowbase for the Linux, Unix, and Windows platforms, we released version 6.600 in November of 2020 and currently have version 6.700 in QA. Full details, including soft docs, are available for all of the HPE Shadowbase releases at the URL link shown on the slide. Next, I'd like to discuss upcoming monitoring tools. This graph illustrates Shadowbase monitoring with Adelgy's new Web Viewpoint XView product. WVP now supports Shadowbase plugins to graphically monitor and alert on Shadowbase environments. Please contact Adelgy for more information. We're often asked about switching to HPE Shadowbase. HPE Shadowbase is your award-winning HPE Go Forward upgrade solution. HPE's RDF is a mature product with no enhancements planned. The Attunity products are mature as well. For other solutions, consider, do you have affordable annual license or maintenance fees? Do you have waning product support from your vendor? Is the product missing features, or do you have unmet business continuity, data and application integration, or data validation needs? We have considerable experience successfully migrating all of these products to HPE Shadowbase. Contact your HPE account team or Gravic about HPE Shadowbase for free, no obligation, trials and proof of concepts. Seeing really is believing. And training, migration, and replacement services are also available through HPE services. Summary, and for more information. HPE Shadowbase is HPE's strategic go-forward data replication solution. We've won numerous awards, including the HPE Momentum Technology Partner of the Year Award, and we're committed to the HPE Nonstop and other server platforms and databases. We've provided both mission-critical and business-critical solutions through continuous availability, automatic recovery from failures, and Shadowbase is scalable with high data throughput. Shadowbase is flexible. It can replicate both homogeneously as well as heterogeneously. It replicates both audited and non-audited files and tables and is customizable and extensible through a variety of mechanisms. HPE, or HPE's appointed regional reseller, provides global sales, support, and professional services for HPE Shadowbase. These are the sessions of interest from the 2021 Technical Bootcamp. Please visit the link at the bottom of the page to download and view recordings of these presentations. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time today. Feel free to reach out to your local HPE account team or us at Gravic if you need additional information about HPE Shadowbase.